Hello friends. What happens when you mix the unstoppable fire of Aries with the razor-sharp confidence of the Chinese zodiac's rooster? You get someone who walks into a room and instantly becomes the gravitational center of the entire space. Someone so full of ambition, charisma, and contradictions that they feel like a walking, talking fireworks display. That's the Aries Rooster, a personality forged in the flames of passion and precision. In this deep dive, we're exploring everything, from how they love to how they lead, from their most brilliant qualities to the shadows they try to hide. Buckle up. Love, passion with a capital P? That barely begins to describe what love feels like for an Aries Rooster. Their love isn't something they fall into, it's something they charge into, headfirst, with the same fearless momentum they bring to everything else in life. This is a person who doesn't just want to be in love, they want to be consumed by it. And they want their partner to be consumed too. The Aries Rooster experiences love like a wildfire, immediate, hot, and impossible to contain. There's no slow burn, no cautious testing of emotional waters. The moment they feel a spark, they move fast. They'll send late-night texts filled with poetic declarations. They'll show up with plane tickets to Paris just because. They believe love should feel like something epic, something you tell stories about. And when they love, they do create those stories, because they simply can't imagine love being mundane. They're not the type to fall for someone just because they're attractive or available. The Aries Rooster needs depth. They want someone who challenges them intellectually, matches their ambition, and lives with a certain uncontainable energy. They're drawn to mystery, but only if it promises substance. What excites them is someone who's both wildly independent and deeply affectionate, a rare combination that keeps them guessing without threatening their ego. But with that blazing energy comes fierce expectations. Aries Roosters are not looking for halfway affection. They want fireworks every time you kiss. They want your full attention when you're together, no half scrolling through your phone or distracted nods. They notice everything. They absorb everything. They remember how you made them feel and how intensely you showed or didn't show that you care. To them, real love feels like a movie, and anything less than cinema-level chemistry is a turn-off. Their ideal partner has to bring presence, loyalty, and emotional depth to the table. This isn't a zodiac mix that tolerates emotional laziness. If their partner starts slacking, showing less interest, less fire, less urgency, the Aries Rooster starts withdrawing. Not out of manipulation, but because they simply can't survive on lukewarm connection. They thrive in high-octane love, and if the voltage drops, they'll cut the cord. Yet, despite their bravado and romantic theatrics, Aries Roosters can be remarkably tender. They love deeply, and when they feel safe, they're incredibly affectionate. They'll hold your face in their hands and tell you you're the best thing that's ever happened to them. They'll remember the little details, your favorite coffee, the show you loved as a kid, that one line from a song that makes you cry. Underneath the fire, there's water, deep emotion, sincerity, and a willingness to be soft for the right person. Still, they're no strangers to heartbreak. Because they dive in so fast and so hard, they sometimes mistake intensity for compatibility. When the fire fizzles out, they can be left scorched, confused, and questioning how something that burned so brightly could suddenly go cold. But even in heartbreak, the Aries Rooster turns pain into power. They won't wallow for long. They'll channel their hurt into transformation, getting stronger, smarter, and more selective about who they give their heart to next. In short, loving an Aries Rooster is like loving a living thunderstorm, loud, luminous, impossible to ignore. They'll challenge you, thrill you, and change you. And if you can match their flame without trying to tame it, you'll find yourself in the kind of love that doesn't just change your life, it sets it on fire. Marriage. A life spent with an Aries Rooster is not for those who dream of gentle evenings and a predictable emotional climate. This marriage is a force of nature, part storm, part sunrise, and always unapologetically intense. From day one, they treat the relationship like a mission. They don't just want to marry you, they want to build with you. Build a legacy, build a fortress, build a love that others look at and wonder how it stays burning so bright. and they'll work relentlessly to make it happen. Once committed, Aries Roosters are unshakably loyal. They don't dip one toe in, they cannonball into the deep end. They want their marriage to be their ultimate safe zone, a place where their partner feels protected, celebrated, and fueled. They're not afraid of traditional roles if those roles serve a purpose, but they're just as open to building something unconventional, as long as it's theirs. They'll support your dreams as fiercely as they chase their own, and they expect the same level of intensity in return. That said, coexisting with such a strong-willed individual isn't always easy. Aries Roosters bring intensity into every room and every argument. They see disagreements not as threats, but as tests of truth and strength. If something bothers them, they speak up. Loudly, passionately, sometimes dramatically. They don't believe in silence or sweeping things under the rug. For them, marriage is built on transparency, even if it gets messy. They'd rather weather a storm than pretend the sky is clear. The challenge? Compromise. It's not in their default emotional vocabulary. They believe in their instincts. Their confidence borders on unshakable. So when their partner offers a different viewpoint, it can trigger defensiveness. Especially if the disagreement touches something close to their ego or sense of purpose. They don't mean to dominate, they genuinely think they're right. But the good news is, with maturity and the right partner, they can learn to pause, reflect, and soften. It just takes time and patience from both sides. But while their pride can be sharp, their love runs deeper than most people ever see. Aries Roosters are incredibly sentimental under their armor. They'll remember your anniversary, but also the exact dress you wore on your first date. They'll build rituals into the relationship, morning coffees together, Sunday night planning sessions, spontaneous road trips just to reset. These rituals matter deeply to them. It's how they express devotion, even when they're too proud to say, "I was wrong," out loud. Emotionally, they are protectors to the core. If they sense you're struggling, they'll go to war for you, even if you haven't asked. They're tuned in to your moods, especially once they've fully invested in the bond. And while they may not always have the right words, their actions speak volumes. They'll shield you from stress, lift you up when you doubt yourself, and remind you that you are never, ever alone. For them, marriage isn't just about love, it's about alliance. Unity, mutual firepower. Still, the key to lasting happiness with an Aries Rooster lies in communication. Not just the "how was your day" kind, but the raw, vulnerable, sometimes uncomfortable kind. They need a partner who doesn't shrink in their intensity. Someone who isn't afraid to call them out, with love. Someone who can put a hand on their chest during an argument and say, "I hear you, but breathe." A partner who knows when to challenge and when to anchor. Not someone who controls the fire, but someone who can dance in it. At the end of the day, marriage with an Aries Rooster is a commitment to growth, passion, and evolution. It's about building a bond that doesn't just survive the chaos, it uses it. And if you can handle the heat, the speed, and the occasional emotional explosion, you'll find yourself in a love that's fierce, true, and built to last. Sex. Sex with an Aries Rooster isn't just passionate, it's explosive, deliberate, and almost theatrical in its intensity. These individuals don't merely have sex, they ignite it. For them, intimacy is an arena, a stage, and a spiritual link all at once. Every encounter is an opportunity to express dominance, connection, creativity, and vulnerability, all woven together in a kind of primal, choreographed dance. They approach sex with the same energy they bring to everything else in life, bold, unapologetic, and full throttle. Their confidence is real, and it radiates through every move. Aries Roosters know what they want, and more importantly, they know what their partner wants, often before it's even said. There's something almost psychic about the way they tune into the rhythm of another person's body, emotions, and energy. When they lock eyes, it's not flirtation, it's a declaration. They're not just there to play, they're there to dominate the experience. But domination doesn't mean selfishness. On the contrary, Aries Roosters take tremendous pride in being exceptional lovers. They want their partner to be overwhelmed, in the best way possible. Their satisfaction comes from knowing they've left a lasting impact, physically and emotionally. They'll explore every inch of your desire with the precision of a tactician and the enthusiasm of someone who sees sex as sacred, thrilling, and essential to intimacy. Routine? That's their kryptonite. Predictability kills the mood faster than silence in a symphony. They want spontaneity, a stolen moment in the hallway, a surprise vacation rendezvous, or an impulsive midday adventure. The idea of scheduled intimacy feels sterile to them. They thrive on unpredictability, bursts of lust that interrupt the everyday and remind both partners that their connection is still red-hot and uncontainable. To keep an Aries rooster engaged in the bedroom, the energy must remain electric and alive. Experimentation is more than welcome, it's expected. Aries roosters are usually the ones to bring up new ideas, kinks, toys, locations, and fantasies. They don't embarrass easily and prefer partners who can meet them in this space with equal parts curiosity and confidence. The emotional trust built through this kind of open exploration only deepens their desire. They may be fiery, but they're also deeply respectful. Consent, mutual enjoyment, and shared satisfaction are foundational to their sexual worldview. Emotionally, they see sex as more than just the physical act. It's a language, a bonding ritual, and a form of emotional expression. After a fight, they want make-up sex. After a celebration, they want celebratory sex. When words fail, they let their bodies do the talking. And they expect their partner to speak the same dialect, openly, hungrily, and with no holding back. If there's emotional tension or distance, they'll sense it immediately during sex. Physical connection means everything to them. If that fire starts to die, they take it as a warning that something deeper needs fixing. Still, their energy can be a double-edged sword. While they're thrilling and deeply invested in pleasure, they can be impatient. If their partner seems disinterested or passive, they might shut down or become frustrated quickly. They need active participation, engagement, presence, not because they're needy, but because sex, to them, is a shared journey, not a solo mission. They're willing to lead, to take control, to orchestrate the entire night, but only if they feel the other person is right there with them, heart pounding in sync. All in all, sex with an Aries rooster is unforgettable. It's a space where performance meets intimacy, where instincts meet strategy, where pleasure is not only the goal, it's the proof of connection. They make sure it's never just physical, and they never want it to be routine. With them, every time feels like the first time, only deeper, wilder, and more intense. If you're willing to meet them in that fire, you won't just be satisfied, you'll be transformed. Friendship. Being friends with an Aries rooster is like forming an alliance with a firecracker and a life coach rolled into one. There's no lukewarm affection here, no halfway loyalty. When they call you their friend, it's a title that means something. You're part of their inner circle now, and they'll guard you with a level of intensity that feels both protective and energizing. This is the friend who will scream your name from the front row at your graduation, send you job leads at 2 a.m., and challenge anyone who underestimates you. They don't do casual, they do real. Their energy in friendship is electric. They bring life to every gathering, fire to every conversation, and conviction to every plan. If you're feeling lost or unmotivated, one phone call with them can pull you out of your funk and drop you right back into action. They're natural motivators, instinctively knowing when to push and when to hold space. Aries roosters aren't afraid to ruffle feathers in the name of truth, and they expect their friends to be resilient, honest, and equally fired up about life. Their loyalty is not passive. It's active, vocal, and constantly in motion. Their intuition in friendships is almost eerie. They just know when something's off, even before you say a word. They'll pick up on your silence, your change in energy, the shift in your tone. And without needing an invitation, they'll show up. With food, with advice, with a plan to fix whatever's going wrong. They don't wait for you to ask for help, they offer it, boldly and without hesitation. It's their way of showing love, of proving that they're not just present when things are fun, but when life starts unraveling too. But that same fire that makes them incredible allies can also burn if you're not ready for the heat. Aries Roosters are brutally honest, and they don't apologize for it. If you're making bad choices, hanging out with toxic people, or holding yourself back, they'll tell you straight to your face. Not to hurt you, never that, but because they genuinely want you to win. They're not trying to be harsh, they're trying to wake you up. Still, their delivery can be intense, especially for more sensitive souls who need a gentler approach. With them, the truth comes first, comfort second. Yet what makes their friendships thrive is this rare combination of raw honesty and unwavering support. Aries Roosters don't want to change you, they want to elevate you. They're drawn to people with drive, vision, and individuality. They love friends who challenge them back, who call them out, who can debate, disagree, and still ride or die together. Friendship, for them, isn't about constant closeness, it's about deep trust. You might not talk for weeks, but if you call them in crisis, they'll drop everything. And they expect that same energy in return. They also need space. As fiercely committed as they are, Aries Roosters require independence, both for themselves and from their friends. Clinginess suffocates them. They want to cheer you on from the sidelines, not hold your hand every second of the game. They appreciate friends who have their own passions, their own goals, their own lives. The best friendships for Aries Roosters are those that respect autonomy while staying deeply connected. When the bond is right, it's not needy, it's empowering. In the end, being friends with an Aries Rooster means having someone in your life who never lets you settle for less. They'll push you, fight for you, and stand beside you even when the rest of the world goes silent. They'll annoy you with their bluntness, dazzle you with their loyalty, and surprise you with their emotional depth. And if you can keep up with their pace, if you can handle the fire, you'll find yourself with a friend who's more like a lifelong champion. One who believes in you with the kind of intensity that can actually change your life. Business career. The workplace is where the Aries Rooster becomes fully unleashed. It's not just where they thrive, it's where they dominate. From the moment they step into a room, their energy announces that something is about to happen. They are driven not by routine or the promise of a paycheck, but by the thrill of achievement, innovation, and influence. They're not here to blend in, they're here to build, disrupt, lead, and win. And they're not satisfied until their name, vision, and impact are etched into something permanent. These individuals are natural-born leaders, not because they crave attention though they don't mind it, but because they instinctively understand how to inspire others. They can see a goal 10 steps ahead and motivate an entire team to sprint toward it. They speak with clarity, think with speed, and execute with precision. Even when they're not officially in charge, they somehow end up setting the pace, raising the bar, and pulling others forward. It's almost impossible not to follow their lead. They make action feel urgent, exciting, and necessary. Their work ethic is fierce. Aries Roosters are the type to outwork everyone in the room, not because they have something to prove, but because they genuinely love the hustle. They're up at sunrise sketching ideas, burning midnight oil polishing the pitch deck, juggling meetings, phone calls, and strategies without breaking a sweat. Their stamina is legendary. They're not intimidated by pressure, they live for it. The bigger the challenge, the more they come alive. Stress doesn't slow them down, it sharpens them. One of their biggest assets in business is the fusion of Aries courage and Rooster calculation. Aries brings the daring, the willingness to take risks, speak boldly, and leap where others hesitate. The Rooster, on the other hand, brings order, a gift for planning, organizing, and refining. This combination creates a powerhouse who's not just dreaming big but actually delivering on those dreams. When balanced, they become unstoppable. Bold enough to innovate, smart enough to execute, and disciplined enough to finish what they start. However, that same fire and intensity can lead to volatility if not managed. The Aries side of their personality can push them into impulsive decisions, launching too early, reacting too quickly, burning bridges that didn't need to be scorched. Meanwhile, the Rooster's perfectionist tendencies can lead to micromanaging or analysis paralysis. If they're not careful, they can swing between extremes, moving too fast, then freezing in overthinking. The key to long-term success for them lies in learning when to pause, delegate, and trust others to carry the vision forward. When it comes to career paths, Aries Roosters thrive in roles that grant autonomy, visibility, and upward momentum. They're not meant to follow, they were wired to lead. Entrepreneurship is a natural fit. It allows them to control the narrative, take risks, and build something that reflects their personal values and energy. But they can also excel in law, politics, entertainment, media, or tech, any arena where strategy, charisma, and confidence collide. Give them a mic, a mission, or a boardroom, and they'll make it theirs in minutes. More than anything, Aries Roosters need to feel that their work matters. They aren't content clocking in and out without impact. They want to build things, ideas, teams, companies, empires. They want to be remembered not for blending in, but for starting movements, shifting paradigms, leaving legacies. Whether it's through innovation, advocacy, leadership, or creativity, their ultimate career goal is influence, the ability to shape the future in ways no one else can quite replicate. At their best, Aries Roosters are the trailblazers others write books about. They're not always easy to work with, they're intense, opinionated, and demanding, but they are deeply respected. They inspire loyalty through action, not just words. And when they succeed, which they usually do, they pull others up with them, creating ecosystems of growth and empowerment that ripple far beyond their own career path. For them, success isn't just a destination, it's a platform. And they intend to stand on it boldly. Dark sides. Every blazing sun casts shadows, and for the Aries Rooster, those shadows run deep. Their brilliance, charisma, and drive are undeniable, but so are the inner battles they often keep hidden. Beneath their confidence and can-do spirit lies a constant friction between control and surrender, pride and vulnerability, passion and peace. These are not gentle souls. They live intensely, they feel deeply, and sometimes that fire turns inward or spills over. Understanding their dark sides isn't about judgment, it's about recognizing the very forces that shape their most human dimensions. Controlling. The Aries Rooster doesn't simply prefer things to be done their way, they often believe it's the only way. This is someone who walks into a situation, immediately assesses what's wrong, and starts issuing orders, not out of malice, but because they believe they're helping. Their standards are sky high, and they assume others should meet them without being asked. The problem? Not everyone moves at their speed or shares their vision. This can lead to micromanaging, frustration with inefficiency, and even subtle forms of emotional manipulation, like guilt-tripping or passive aggression when their control is challenged. They don't mean to suffocate the people they care about, they just genuinely think they're saving the ship from sinking. But unless they learn to trust others and release some grip, their need for control can backfire, pushing away the very people who want to support them. Impatient. For an Aries Rooster, time is an opponent. They hate waiting, loathe delays, and get visibly agitated when progress stalls. Whether it's in a business deal, a romantic relationship, or something as simple as standing in line, they feel like every second wasted is a crime against momentum. This can create a sense of urgency that motivates others, but it can also come off as dismissive or high pressure. They may interrupt people, jump to conclusions, or abandon projects prematurely if results aren't immediate. Their need for speed can make them overlook nuance, and sometimes, the quick fix they insist on leads to bigger problems later. Their challenge is learning the difference between necessary momentum and reckless haste, and discovering that sometimes slow growth is the most sustainable kind. Ego-driven. Confidence is one of their defining traits, but unchecked, it becomes arrogance. Aries Roosters often walk into rooms with a sense of authority that others mistake for entitlement. They know they're good at business, conversation, leadership, creation, and they have the resume to prove it. But when this self-assurance turns into ego, they stop listening. They interrupt. They dismiss ideas that aren't their own. They may unintentionally belittle others' contributions, especially if those ideas don't align with their worldview. Criticism can feel like a personal attack, and instead of using it constructively, they may lash out or shut down. The irony? They deeply crave respect and admiration. but the very ego that got them noticed can become the thing that isolates them if they're not careful. True leadership, for them, begins when they recognize that strength doesn't always need to be loud. Emotionally intense. There's no such thing as a little upset for the Aries Rooster. When they feel something, whether joy, anger, betrayal, or love, they feel it completely. If they're hurt, their pain comes out in a storm. Shouting, door slamming, emotional withdrawal, or cold silence. They may hold grudges longer than they admit, even while pretending they've moved on. Their inner emotional world is dramatic and deeply reactive, and because they rarely show vulnerability, their explosions often catch others off guard. They expect loyalty and depth, and when someone betrays or disappoints them, it cuts all the way to the bone. Their journey involves learning how to regulate this intensity, how to process feelings instead of weaponizing them, how to forgive without forgetting, and how to express sadness without turning it into war. Perfectionistic. Though it often hides behind their confidence, the Aries Rooster is haunted by an internal pressure to be the best at everything. This drive for perfection makes them ambitious, yes, but it also makes them restless and self-critical. They can't stand failure. Even minor mistakes eat at them. If they fall short of a goal, they spiral into obsessive rumination or double down with unhealthy work habits. Worse, they often project this perfectionism onto others, expecting the same all-in commitment, the same high standards, the same intensity of execution. This creates friction in teams, families, and partnerships. Over time, they must learn the grace of imperfection, the idea that growth matters more than flawless performance, and that people including themselves are allowed to stumble. Overprotective. Their loyalty knows no limits, but sometimes that loyalty mutates into overprotection. Aries Roosters often take on the emotional burdens of those they love, trying to fix everything, anticipate every threat, and prevent every heartbreak. They swoop in like warriors, solving problems, issuing ultimatums, defending people who may not have asked for it. While this instinct comes from love, it can also feel stifling. It removes agency from others, replacing support with control. Friends and partners may feel overwhelmed by the constant fixing, even when it's well-intentioned. For the Aries Rooster, the lesson lies in learning that protection is not always about action. Sometimes it's about presence, patience, and trust. Their shadow traits aren't failures. They're simply the flip side of their greatest strengths. Their need for control comes from their ability to lead. Their impatience is a reflection of how driven they are. Their emotional intensity mirrors how deeply they love. And their ego, at its core, is rooted in the belief that they can change the world. If the Aries Rooster can learn to balance fire with mindfulness and power with humility, they don't just become effective, they become unstoppable, not in spite of their darkness, but because they've integrated it. Life goals. The Aries Rooster was not born to drift, they were born to drive. With a heart that burns for greatness and a mind wired for action, they don't just want to live life, they want to shape it. Ordinary isn't even in their vocabulary. They crave a life that feels cinematic, urgent, purposeful. They want to wake up each day with a mission and go to bed feeling one step closer to mastery. Their ambitions are not fleeting wishes, they're engines. And those engines never idle. Every goal is a challenge to rise, to push, to become more. Building something from scratch. If the Aries Rooster has one universal goal, it's creation. But not just any creation. They want to build something that reflects their soul, their fire, and their refusal to follow the script. Whether it's launching a business, writing a book, starting a nonprofit, or building a global brand from nothing but a vision and raw nerve, they want to own what they do. They don't just join movements, they start them. They don't just contribute to projects, they build the whole damn system. From logo design to the mission statement, they crave creative control and the thrill of seeing their fingerprints on something tangible, scalable, and lasting. This drive to build isn't rooted in vanity, it's rooted in identity. Aries Roosters feel most alive when they're in full creation mode. The process energizes them. The challenges don't scare them, they need them. Every obstacle is just another brick in the foundation. Even failure doesn't derail them. They'll pivot, recalibrate, and relaunch until it works. To them, building isn't a phase, it's a lifestyle. One with risk, yes, but also with boundless reward. Proving people wrong. Fueling many of their life goals is a not-so-secret fire, the desire to prove the doubters wrong. The Aries Rooster has likely heard, "You can't," more times than they can count, and they've turned every one of those comments into rocket fuel. They don't forget being underestimated. In fact, it sharpens their focus. It pushes them harder, further, faster. When someone tells them it's impossible, they don't argue, they show up and do it. For them, proving others wrong isn't about spite, it's about proving to themselves that no one defines their limits. This energy makes them intensely competitive, but not always in a traditional, external sense. It's personal, deeply so. They want to win because it affirms something fundamental, that they are capable of shaping their own fate. That they are more than what others see. That their fire wasn't just loud, it was effective. And when they finally reach the goal they were told they couldn't achieve, they don't just celebrate, they evolve. And then, quietly, they aim even higher. Being the best. Excellence is not optional for an Aries Rooster, it's a non-negotiable. They aren't satisfied with good enough. Whether it's the way they lead a team, design a product, or even host a dinner party, they strive for elite execution. Not because they're insecure, quite the opposite. They chase excellence because it reflects how seriously they take their time, energy, and talent. To them, sloppiness is almost disrespectful, to themselves and to others. This need to be the best makes them rigorous learners and relentless improvers. They'll read, train, test, and refine until what they create isn't just functional, it's exceptional. They hold themselves to brutal standards and often achieve results that leave others breathless. But it's not just about achievement, it's about integrity. If their name is on it, it has to shine. That's the code they live by. Inspiring others. Though they may come off as fiercely independent, Aries Roosters care deeply about the mark they leave on others. They want their story to matter. They want the paths they carve to become roads others can walk on. Whether it's mentoring, speaking, leading by example, or simply living out loud with unapologetic authenticity, they feel a powerful urge to ignite something in the people around them. They want others to believe in their own fire, because they know how life-changing that belief can be. They don't try to inspire by preaching. They do it by doing. By walking into the unknown, by embracing challenges, by refusing to shrink in the face of fear. Their courage is contagious. Their ambition makes others ask, "Why not me?" And that ripple effect, it feeds them. It validates that their mission isn't just about personal glory, it's about collective elevation. Leaving a legacy. Ultimately, the Aries Rooster doesn't want to be remembered for playing it safe, they want to be remembered for showing up big. Legacy is everything. They want to build something that outlives them. Not necessarily in statues or newspaper headlines, though they wouldn't mind that, but in the lives they've touched, the systems they've changed, the sparks they've lit in others. They want to be talked about in rooms they're not in, quoted long after the meeting ends, remembered not just for their results, but for how boldly, fiercely, and fearlessly they pursued their truth. Legacy for them isn't about ego, it's about impact. Did they create change? Did they open doors? Did they leave the world more alive than they found it? These are the questions that guide them. And every decision, every sacrifice, every wild risk they take is in service to a bigger vision that transcends their own timeline. Loving the grind. All of this drive, passion, and ambition doesn't come from some abstract place. The Aries Rooster genuinely loves the grind. They love the early mornings, the late nights, the brainstorms, the setbacks, the breakthroughs. They find beauty in the chaos of creation. While others get tired, they get hungry. They're not chasing a finish line, they're addicted to the race itself. The process, for them, is spiritual. It's where they grow, where they test their limits, where they feel most alive. They don't need the world to hand them ease. What they crave is meaning, a goal that sets their soul on fire. And when they find it, they lock in, hard, and they don't let go, not until it's real, not until it's big, and not until it matters. For the Aries Rooster, life goals aren't just about success, they're about becoming. Becoming more honest, more fearless, more of who they're meant to be. And once they reach the summit, they don't stop, they just climb again, higher, sharper, louder. Conquer, create, inspire, repeat. Final thoughts. The Aries Rooster is a paradox in motion, equal parts fire and feather, elegance and ferocity, precision and passion. They are not gentle breezes or quiet rivers. They are thunderstorms with golden linings, roaring through life with an unrelenting determination to turn every day into something meaningful. You don't just meet an Aries Rooster, you experience them. Their presence alone can shift the atmosphere of a room, raising the emotional frequency like a match to dry kindling. They aren't built for comfort zones. They were designed to challenge, to provoke, and to inspire transformation. Whether it's in a friendship, a business venture, a relationship, or even a passing conversation, they push you, sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully, toward your own potential. That push can feel like pressure. It can even feel uncomfortable. But if you step back and look closer, you'll see the truth. It's not about control. It's about elevation. Aries Roosters don't just want people around them, they want rising people. Vibrant people. People who refuse to sleep through their own lives. They live with extraordinary intentionality. Every goal they set, every bond they form, every stand they take is rooted in purpose. They may stumble, they may burn out, they may even alienate a few hearts along the way, but never because they're indifferent. If anything, they feel too much. They care deeply, almost painfully, about doing things right, living fully and loving completely. Their standards are sky high, not because they're perfectionists, but because they believe life is too short for mediocrity. Yet, for all their power and velocity, the Aries Rooster also has a profound emotional depth. Under the steel and fire is someone who craves meaning, connection, and authenticity. They long to be seen, really seen, not just for their accomplishments, but for their inner fire, their vulnerability, and their raw, unfiltered truth. Earning their trust is no small feat, but if you do, you'll gain a champion for life. They'll defend you, uplift you, and love you in a way that feels primal, holy, and entirely unforgettable. Being an Aries Rooster means carrying a soul that's wired for more. More impact, more expression, more love. They are never content with simply existing. They want to live out loud. Every decision is weighted with ambition. Every failure is met with fierce resilience. Every win is savored, then surpassed. They are driven by a sense that time is precious and potential is sacred, and that wasting either would be the only true failure. To know an Aries Rooster is to witness the very definition of what it means to be alive. They will test your patience. They will demand your best. They may ruffle feathers or ignite your insecurities, but they'll also awaken parts of you you'd forgotten. The brave parts, the brilliant parts, the ones that dream bigger and fight harder. And once you've been touched by their fire, you'll never settle for smallness again. So whether you are one, love one, or work alongside one, honor the heat. Respect the rhythm, and know this with certainty: the Aries Rooster was never here to be ordinary. They were born to blaze, to break barriers, and to leave the world louder, brighter, and bolder than they found it.